and welcome back to another video of our series on building a PHP MVC framework. In this video, we will make our dependency injection a bit more safe. So we will count how many times we will come through this function, and if we come in here 255 times, we will go out of it with an exception, because it means that we have a circular dependency. Circular dependency is a service that depends on another service, but that service depends on the first service. So we want to catch this. How are we going to do this? Well, where our to-do is, we will start with creating a variable called loop count, and we increment it. So from where does this value need to come? Well, we have here all our variables. So we'll say int, and we'll pass it by reference. So it only creates it once, and we'll call loop count. And the first time we enter it, we don't give anything in yet. So we initialize it to 0. But in here, we increment it. And of course, when we call this function again, we need to pass loop count. So this will go to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Then we need to have an if statement. When loop count is bigger than, and we'll create a constant for it. So max loop count. Let's go on the top and create it. Private const int max loop count equals 255. Good. Then we say, okay, throw a new, but what do we want to throw? We want to create a new exception for this. So let's copy and paste our bean creation exception, and we'll rename this one to circular dependency exception. We'll add it, and we will need a variable, a member variable in this exception array, and we'll call it scanned services. So this variable will have service injection info array. Let's create constructor. We want that one as well. So we want to pass in all our scanned services from here, but that means that some are already out of the array, and only the services that we could not instantiate, we pass into this exception. We also want to have a message, and we want an array. We want the array of scanned services and a code, which is 0. We want to, of course, call the parent constructor with message and code. And we have our scanned services. Now we will change our toString also a bit. So we'll say services not created equals, it's a string. Okay. Then we have a for each where we loop over our scanned services as scanned service. And what do? We append our services not created, so dot equals. And what do we append? We say scanned service get class get name with the first a tab, and then we put in a comma and a new line. Last but not least, we append again service not created dot equal. We say closing brackets and a new line as well. In here, we still want to show our code in our message, but we'll update it a bit. So we say beans that are not created, and then we will print out our services not created. So we have a nice exception message there. So back to our service creator, we can throw our circular dependency exception. And what will we put there? There is a circular depend. We pass in the message so the user can use it however they want. But for us, it's yeah, just like this. And we pass in the scan services. Of course, we need to update our throws, and in here we need to add it. Then we are all happy. And we can already start testing it out because that was it. Clean and simple. So how we will test it out? I will create for now a new namespace. I'll call it circular, new class, circular 1. Let's add it. It's a service. So we'll service, I will copy and paste it and have a 2 there. And what's important that they both depend on each other. So we'll add a public function construct, and in the construct we say private circular 1, So we'll try to inject circular 1 into 2. Paste this one. And in here we say 2. So we will try to inject 2 into 1 and 1 into 2. So we have a circular dependency in here. Now it just run it, and let's see the exception in our console first. So what you can see is that we have a nice message. So there is circular dependency, pieces that are not created, 1 and 2. So you know that it's probably somewhere in here that the issue is. And if we open our browser, you can see that it also says circular 2, circular 1 are not created. So it's a quite good message. Now, of course, we want to test our framework further, so I'm going to put our service annotation in comments so it doesn't get scanned anymore. And now, if we refresh, our bean map is loaded again and our services. And that was it. It's just so we don't get an overload on, or we are stuck in an infinite loop. We just need to break out somewhere, and if it has scanned, well, if it went through 255 times, then it's time to just quit it, and we need to look at our implemented code of our framework and see how we can make it better, because the more times we loop through it, the slower everything gets, and the user needs to be aware of this. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out to get on top of the algorithm. Bye bye.